little bit about yourself, your work, and your background. We will transition at this point to the next item, which is updates on employment-related daycare. And I believe we have Dorothy. I'm not quite sure who is taking on this slide from here on out. So
thanks, Karina. I'll kick us off and Dorothy will come behind me. So some of you may be aware, but there have actually been a lot of changes made to the employment-related daycare program over the last 2 years. The legislature passed a bill in 2021, House Bill 3073, that actually created the Department of Early Learning and Care, moved the ERDC program into this agency, but it also made a lot of changes to ERDC. And we have been working on implementing those changes since 2021. We've seen co-pays reduced and capped at 7% of household income. We're now able to pay providers based on enrollment, not attendance for the program. This January, we were able to expand eligibility to full-time students. We shifted to part-time and full-time childcare hours, expanded authorized medical leave, and we can now cover sleep hours for 2 caretaker households. And some of this might sound familiar. I know we talked to you all a lot this spring. This July was the last really big lift. We were able to implement protected 12-month eligibility and allow families who are enrolled in TANF to access ERDC. We have one more big change that will take effect next year, but all of these changes have really made this program work better for families and providers. And you can go to the next slide. So what that means is we've actually seen a lot of families enroll in the program very recently. We now have 14,000 families enrolled in ERDC statewide. That was actually a 52% increase last biennium. And you can see on this line chart that we started at about 9,000 families just back in February of 2022, and now we're up at over 14,000. We actually grew 65% between August of 2021 and this past August. So we've seen so much growth happen really, really quickly. And it's really demonstrating that these changes to the program are working, and more families are able to take advantage of the program. Something that we have to consider, though, is our budget. So every 2 years, the Oregon legislature sets agency budgets. And this was our first budget as the Department of Early Learning and Care and taking over the ERDC program. So just because the number of families enrolled increases doesn't mean we automatically get more funding. And you can go to the next slide. And so what this means in this case is because the program has grown so much, but we haven't seen increases in investments. And I think there's one more slide we can go to. That actually means that we are going to have to enact a wait list. Some of you might have heard this today. We made this announcement this afternoon and wanted to take advantage of our time with you today to walk through this. So we are enacting a wait list. New families have until November 3rd to apply before the wait list takes effect. And we know that families will be interested in continuing to enroll between now and then. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Dorothy to talk a little bit about how this wait list is going to work and who is not affected by the wait.
Thank you. Thank you, Alyssa. So the waitlist is starting after November 3rd. What that means is any new families, current families can apply for ERDC between now and 11:59 p.m. on November 3rd and can be screened for ERDC eligibility as usual. So families can still right now apply for ERDC and be screened for eligibility as usual and will not be subject to a wait list. If you want to go ahead to the next screen, we can talk through the wait list. Once a wait list is enacted, there are a few populations that will be exempt from the wait list. These include families that are already on ERDC. So if a family is reaching the end of their certification period, they'll have 2 months to a 2-month window to recertify. If their case closes before they recertify, they can request ERDC within 2 months after the case closes, and will be able to be exempt from the wait list or skip the wait list and enroll in ERDC if they continue to be eligible. Families receiving TANF or TANF Domestic Violence Survivor Grant will continue to be eligible to enroll to receive ERDC. Families transitioning out of TANF or who have received a TANF Domestic Violence Survivor Grant in the last 3 months will also be able to enroll to receive benefits. The third population that is exempt from the wait list are families referred by child welfare. Child welfare workers can refer families who need childcare. They can be referred to ERDC if they need childcare to keep their child from being removed from the home, to allow a child to return home, or to allow a child to be placed with a known adult. These families are referred by their child care worker, and they can continue to enroll in ERDC to receive benefits. And the fourth population that is exempt from the wait list or that can skip the wait list are families placed in a contracted slot. So they're able to enroll in ERDC if they're currently being placed in a contracted slot for Head Start. You can go to the next slide. So again, what this means is when enrollment closes after November 3rd, no new families will be able to enroll in ERDC until our caseload drops, unless they're part of one of those exempt populations on the previous slide. And caseload is going to drop as families leave the program. With the new 12-month eligibility, guaranteed eligibility for 12 months, it means that fewer families will leave the program each month. Families outside of our exempt populations on the previous screen will wait until that ERDC caseload is lowered to be evaluated for eligibility. When we do reach a point where that caseload has dropped and we are ready to invite families off of the wait list, families will be selected to be evaluated for ERDC based on the date that they were initially screened. This means that first to apply and be placed on the wait list would be the first to be selected off of the wait list. When families are selected off the wait list, they're invited to reapply to ERDC within 45 days. And after they reapply, their eligibility will be evaluated. You can go ahead to the next slide. And we have developed some resources for you to work with families that you may serve that are on ERDC or who may be eligible for ERDC. A toolkit's going to be available next week that will include talking points and FAQs. We already have translated one-pagers describing the waitlist and translated family resource guide up on our website. The URL you see down here on the bottom of the slide is a direct ERDC page that you can go to find more information about the waitlist, as well as the one-pager and family resource guide that that has already been translated. And I think if you go to the next one. And then when we talk about the family resource guide, some of the resources that you'll see in that family resource guide that we have available for families are referencing 211 and early learning hubs that can support families in accessing different programs and benefits when they can't immediately receive ERDC. So families that may also qualify for other DELC programs that provide affordable, high quality childcare, including Preschool Promise and Oregon Prenatal to Kindergarten. And we encourage families to reach out to their early learning hubs to learn more. They can contact 211 for assistance with their childcare needs as well. And there's specific instructions that families can dial 211, text the keyword children, or email children@211info.org. And I think that might be the last slide for this, this portion. Yes.